Before luxury became software, before it became ambient lighting packages, gesture controls, subscription features, and giant screens pretending to be sophistication, it was something far more difficult to produce. It was slow. Not slow in the sense of performance, although many great luxury cars were never designed to shout their speed. Slow in the sense of making. Slow in the sense of craftsmanship. Slow in the sense that a great car once had to pass through the hands of people who could shape, stitch, polish, fit, align, and finish it with judgment rather than automation. That is the world we are entering today. A world of hand-built luxury cars so deliberate in their construction, so disciplined in their philosophy, that even standing still, they seem to carry a different understanding of wealth. Not flashy wealth, not anxious wealth, not the kind that needs to prove itself in every detail, but calm, inherited, architectural wealth. The kind that expects silence, proportion, and permanence. Today on Timeless Treasures, we are looking at the design philosophy of the last truly hand-built luxury cars, the sleeping sovereigns of automotive history, machines born at the end of an older order, when prestige still meant material seriousness, when bodies were not just assembled but composed, and when the difference between a good car and a great one could still be traced directly to the human hand. Because in the highest form of old luxury, the car was never just transportation. It was a worldview made visible. To understand why these cars feel so different, we have to begin with a simple but increasingly forgotten truth. A hand-built luxury car is not just a more expensive car. It is a different kind of object. Most mass-produced vehicles are designed around efficiency of repetition. Their greatness, when they achieve it, comes from making something complex at scale with consistency. That is an impressive achievement in its own right. But hand-built luxury comes from a different logic entirely. It comes from the refusal to let scale dominate every decision. It allows correction, adjustment, craft variation, and material sensitivity to remain inside the process. And that changes everything. Panel fit is approached differently. Surface quality is approached differently. The way leather meets wood, the way carpet meets trim, the way a door closes, the way chrome catches light, even the way silence is achieved. All of it reflects a slower standard. This is why the greatest hand-built luxury cars feel less like products and more like finished environments. You are not simply entering a cabin. You are crossing a threshold. And that threshold once mattered enormously. In the first half of the 20th century, luxury car design existed at the meeting point of engineering, architecture, fashion, and class performance. A great chassis could come from one company, the coachwork from another, and the interior from a whole ecosystem of craftspeople whose names never appeared on the grille. Wealthy buyers did not merely select a model, they commissioned a presence. A formal car for town, a touring car for distance, a coupe for privacy, a limousine for ceremony, a cabriolet for season and setting. These machines were designed not just for driving, but for being seen, arriving, waiting, and belonging to a larger social order. That is why the greatest hand-built luxury cars are so philosophical in their proportions. A mass-market car often tries to solve packaging. A luxury car of the old school tried to solve composure. It had to sit correctly. The hood had to imply depth without vulgarity. The greenhouse had to feel dignified. The roofline could not merely cover the passengers, it had to crown the body. The rear quarters had to carry enough visual gravity to make the whole machine feel settled, not hurried. Formality mattered. Visual rhythm mattered. The sequence from grille to hood to cabin to tail had to feel intentional. This is where the word sovereign begins to make sense. The last truly hand-built luxury cars do not just look expensive, they look self-possessed. That self-possession came from materials as much as form. Real wood behaves differently from printed trim. It reflects light unevenly, warms with age, changes subtly under decades of use. Real leather does not simply wear out, it develops memory. Fine wool carpeting quiets the floor with a softness synthetic pile often fails to match. Chrome plated over substantial metal gives a depth that thin, decorative brightwork cannot fully imitate. Thick glass, lacquered veneers, polished switchgear, metal organ stop controls, deep seat cushioning, stitched edges finished by hand. These are not isolated luxuries. They are parts of a complete sensory philosophy. That philosophy says luxury should be felt before it is explained. You should know it when you touch the handle, when you lower yourself into the seat, when the cabin air changes as the door closes, when the silence arrives not as a feature, but as a condition. And silence, perhaps more than any other quality, separates old luxury at its peak from modern luxury at its loudest. A truly hand-built luxury car was often obsessed with the removal of disturbance. Not only mechanical noise, though certainly that, also harshness, vibration, poorly judged motion, visual clutter, cheap tactility, abrupt controls, anything that made the experience feel thin, hurried, or exposed. This is why so many of the great names in old luxury, Rolls-Royce, Bentley in certain eras, Delage, Hispano-Suiza, Mercedes at its highest levels, certain great Coachbuilt Cadillacs, Packards, and others, pursued not just craftsmanship, but serenity. Serenity was expensive because serenity required control. Control of materials, control of tolerances, control of finish, control of surface tension in the design itself. A hand-built luxury car had to feel composed under the hand and composed in motion. It had to reassure, not merely impress. That is a very different target from many modern luxury vehicles, which too often pursue spectacle first. Now, of course, the story is not simple. The old world of hand-built luxury was never democratic. It existed in systems of wealth, hierarchy, and labor that were highly unequal. Many of these cars were effectively rolling statements of social distance. Some belonged to aristocrats, some to industrialists, some to political power, some to old families whose houses were as formal as their garages. Their beauty cannot be separated entirely from the worlds that produced them. But that is exactly what makes them so historically rich. These were not anonymous objects. They carried the manners of their era in their design. A formal limousine, especially, reveals this clearly. The rear compartment may be softer, quieter, more indulgent than the front because the owner sat in back while the chauffeur sat ahead. Controls, finishes, even window arrangements could reflect this hierarchy. Divider glass, speaking tubes, vanity compartments, occasional seats, flower vases, custom writing tables, robe rails. These things were not excess for the sake of excess. They were the physical grammar of a social world. And when that world faded, the cars remained. That is why so many hand-built luxury cars feel melancholic today. They are beautiful, yes, but they also feel like survivors of vanished assumptions. They belong to a period when wealth believed in visible permanence, when houses were staffed, when luggage was monogrammed, when travel had ceremony, and when the automobile could still function as a room of status, moving through the public world. The last of these cars, especially the later hand-built machines, produced before industrial standardization completely won, occupy a special place. They are not as raw or exposed as the early coach-built giants, yet they still retain enough human craft to resist the sterility of later production. They are transitional machines, but powerful ones. They preserve the old luxury grammar while living close enough to the modern era that we can still imagine using them. And that is where design philosophy becomes so important. Because the best of these cars were not hand-built merely because the factory lacked automation. They were hand-built because the design itself demanded judgment. A panel might need to be worked until the reflection sat correctly. Wood grain needed to be selected for visual harmony across adjacent surfaces. Hides had to be chosen not only for quality, but for consistency of feel. Stitching needed to align with the shape of the seat and the logic of the cabin. Veneers needed to be cut, mirrored, lacquered, and finished in ways that respected both material and form. This is where craftsmanship ceases to be romance and becomes engineering by other means. A hand-built luxury car is not less engineered because humans finish it. In many cases, it is more engineered because the engineering allows space for craft rather than eliminating it. This is one reason the best hand-built luxury cars often age with such authority. They may fade, the lacquer may soften, the chrome may lose some brilliance, the leather may crease, darken, and carry the map of decades, but the object underneath still feels right. The design survives aging because it was coherent from the beginning. That coherence is increasingly rare. Modern luxury often confuses complexity with richness. More features, more screens, more hidden systems, more software layers, more configurable moods. But richness is not the same thing as depth. A cabin can dazzle for 10 minutes and still feel emotionally empty. A hand-built interior can feel calm at first glance and reveal more authority each time you return to it. The old masters understood this. They understood that true luxury should not explain itself too quickly. It should unfold. You notice the stitching later, the grain later, the exact resistance of a switch later, the way the rear door opens wider than expected, the thickness of the carpet, the softness of the armrest, the depth of the lacquer on the picnic tables, the way the door shuts not with force, but with certainty, the way the cabin light flatters the materials rather than overwhelming them, the way silence feels architectural. This is what modern manufacturers still spend fortunes trying to simulate, and simulation is the key word. Many modern luxury cars are brilliant. Some are astonishing in engineering and comfort, but too many rely on simulated prestige rather than embodied prestige. Digital sound enhancement instead of natural acoustic refinement. Decorative surfaces that suggest handcrafted texture without truly carrying it. Oversized wheels and aggressive styling masquerading as importance. Minimalism that too often functions as cost reduction dressed as taste. The great sleeping sovereigns remind us of another possibility. That luxury can be quiet. That luxury can be heavy in the right ways. That luxury can value patience over novelty. That luxury can still mean a car built with enough seriousness to feel inevitable rather than fashionable. And perhaps this is why hand-built luxury has become so emotionally powerful in the present. Because we live in a period increasingly dominated by disposability disguised as convenience. Software updates replace continuity. Materials are selected for manufacturability before aging grace. Surfaces are optimized for first impressions, not lifelong relationship. Vehicles are often leased, cycled, replaced, and forgotten before they ever gather enough time to become meaningful. A truly hand-built luxury car resists that logic completely. It expects duration. Even if neglected, even if hidden, even if sleeping under dust in an old collection, it still holds together with a different kind of dignity. The panel lines remain composed. The wood remains deep. The seats remain generous. The roofline still carries itself with discipline. The object still believes in itself. And that belief is why these cars matter so much now. They are not simply expensive relics. They are arguments. Arguments for the value of patience, for the dignity of old materials, for the beauty of visual restraint, for the idea that the highest form of wealth expression may not be noise, but control. This is especially striking in the last generations of hand-built luxury, before full industrial homogenization took over. Cars that still carried the old-school logic of craftsmanship, but were built close enough to modern expectations that their engineering feels usable, their ergonomics recognizable, their silence and presence still startlingly current. These are not antique curiosities. They are philosophical machines. They ask what luxury is supposed to do. Is it meant to dominate the street or calm the passenger? Is it meant to perform image or create an atmosphere? Is it meant to overwhelm with feature count or reassure with material truth? The sleeping sovereigns answer clearly. Luxury should create confidence without anxiety, beauty without noise, presence without desperation. And perhaps that is why the best hand-built luxury cars feel more refined as they age, not less. Because their philosophy does not depend on trend. It depends on proportion, craft, seriousness, and restraint. Those things do not expire when a screen becomes dated or a fashion cycle moves on. They deepen. That is why rediscovered hand-built limousines, coupes, formal sedans, and grand tourers can feel almost ghostly in their elegance. Even sleeping, even half forgotten, they continue to project order. The world around them may have changed completely, but the machine itself still carries the old rules in its posture. That posture is the final lesson. The last truly hand-built luxury cars teach us that greatness is not always loud, that engineering can become invisible without becoming trivial, that the human hand still leaves a kind of dignity no machine process can fully imitate, and that the finest objects are often those that do not need to prove their value quickly. They simply remain, still composed, still quiet, still sovereign. If old luxury still means something to you, subscribe to Timeless Treasures and tell me which hand-built machine you believe carried dignity better than anything built today.